But basically, what we will do, we will have one presentation after another, and after each presentation, there will be a slot for your questions. So this is how it will be organized. We have a very great topic of diamond open access in Europe and beyond, which is, I think, really interesting how diamond open access already is organized and what are the plans to bring it further. Without further ado, what we will first hear about is diamond open access journals in the Netherlands, presented by Chiara Livio, she is an open access advisor for the publishing support department at the Utrecht University Library. She leads the project Mapping and Monitoring Diamond Open Access in the Netherlands. And Erika Yu is an open access officer for the Erasmus University in Rotterdam Library, and she also works in the Dutch Diamond Open Access Expertise Center. It's very nice to have you here, and the floor is yours.
Thank you for the introduction. So today we would like to discuss the workflows, challenges and status and community engagement of Diamond Open Access in the Netherlands. And first, a few words about the project. We are both part of the national project Strengthening Diamond Open Access in the Netherlands, and it's composed of infrastructure, the capacity center, and us, which is mapping and monitoring. So how did this project start and why? We were working towards facilitating the support for community control and non-profit initiatives and activities. And we are currently focusing on Diamond Open Access journals. This is not limited to journal. In the future, we might expand to books as well. But as we've seen in the past days, it's quite complicated as well. So how did we do this? So we wanted to map the Diamond Open Access journals in the Netherlands, and we started with 3 challenges. The first one is that we don't have a shared definition of Diamond Open Access in the Netherlands, especially among researchers who don't see actually the cost behind it. And if it's not APC, it's automatically Diamond sometimes. So we had to clarify that. And then the fact that non-APC journals in the DOAJ are not covering the whole landscape of the Netherlands, and we were aware of that because of subject librarians, open access officers that gave us their input, and for individual libraries as well. And the third challenge is that we didn't want to use a data set from commercial publishers. So what we did is that we had endless meetings with our team members, advisor, open access officers about how to define Diamond Open Access, but not only what is Diamond Open Access, which is for us, for instance, Diamond Open Access journals, scholarly journals that publish all output with an open license immediately, free of mandatory charges and controlled by a non-for-profit research community. But we also had to define what is a scholarly journal. So we excluded at the moment conference proceedings, but we include student journals that are open to all researchers, but also limited to university affiliated authors. And what is Dutch? That was the main challenge because we did it via automatically, thanks to Bianca, who's also our team member, via various data sets and databases. And we identified Dutch journals via publisher, but the publisher that also have a Dutch society behind. The journal has a Dutch society behind via database criteria. So for instance, we used OpenAlex with code NL and the percentage of Netherlands affiliated authors in Diamond Open Access publications. So how did we do this? We used various sources. So for starters, the bibliographic data sources that we used were OpenAlex, DOAJ, and the Bolt Crawford called Open Access list. And then we used other sources, which we call existing lists, which is the data set that I was provided to double check from the DDH. So 119 journals from the DOAJ no APC from the Netherlands. National lists provided by various association and not companies, non-profit organizations, thank you, such as Open Journals, which is our national platform for Diamond Open Access journals, UK basis, and the Netherlands University Presses. And we also used a data set that was kindly provided by PKP with journals that use the OJS from the Netherlands. The problem is that after all this automatically and harvesting of data and enrichment via existing list, we had a problem with manual checks. So we had to ask journals additional questions about how if they were diamond or not. We had to check whether they were actually charging APCs, because sometimes not everything that's listed in OpenAlex is accurate, as well as other data sources that we had. So I'm jumping now to the results. We can discuss about the details during lunch break. And so the results, we have a total count of 175 journals that are connected to the Netherlands. And among them, 120 we consider fully diamond. We have 33 pending journals. That means that we are not sure whether they charge APCs or whether they are discontinued or not. So we reached out to the journals themselves. And we have 22 journals that we excluded because they are delayed open access but are still connected to the Netherlands. And most of them, I think 90%, are from Amsterdam University Press. We also have included the subscribe to open journals in the pending section because of it doesn't fit the definition of our definition of diamond. I also think that it doesn't fit our definition of diamond. So yeah, we just kept them because they were linked to the Netherlands and some of them are relevant to our researchers. So what we discovered is that among these journals, the included ones, the 120, 64 on around 50% of the journals are in the OAJ and 106 in OpenAlex. I'm not going too much into details, but 9 of the journals aren't listed in either. So we have a different publisher arrangements. So you can see the graph that Bianca kindly made for the poster. And we have per disciplines predominance of social sciences and humanities journals with other unknown disciplines because of the main domain in OpenAlex are not very specific. So this is something that we would like to work on, as well as the licenses, because our published list doesn't include licenses at the moment. We're working on that. And for the size of the journal, we have the majority of the journal that are mid-range between 11 and 25 articles published per year. Majority is in English with a few exceptions in other languages, and the other language is mostly Dutch. So what now? We published on Zenodo last week or 2 weeks ago the list, and we are expecting some reactions from the community. So we had the first reaction from some journals that were known by researchers. So a researcher reached out to us and proposed a new journal that was also subscribed to open, but it was not in our radar. And the reason why is that maybe it changed publisher in the process. So we have data sets that are not from this year. And if we check on OpenAlex, the journal is from a commercial publisher in the Netherlands and not linked to the current publisher. So that's one of the reasons why we couldn't detect it. And that we would like to have a community engagement among librarians, researchers, open access officers, advisors to enrich the dataset, because we are aware of relevant journals for the humanities that are diamond open access, for instance, in Utrecht, where I work, and that are not in our list. So we would like to have them added on, perhaps not Dutch-based, but Dutch relevant. And then we will provide the list to the expertise center, which is our capacity center, so that the journals that are not in the DOJ would go through the process of application and help them with the DOJ registration. And from there, we would like to also input the journals in the DDH. Not all journals are willing to register for the DOJ because they don't have the capacity, they don't feel like they publish a lot or they don't publish a lot. So that's one of the criteria. So we are discussing now with our national registries, which is the Journal Browser and SURF, the Journal Catalog SURF, what's the best workflow. So this is another challenge that we have, whether to go directly to DOJ and then DDH, and ask the national platform to harvest it from the DDH itself. And I would like to spend a few words on a bigger picture about the situation in the Netherlands about diamond open access. So a few months ago, last year, we had a meeting with about what do we want from publishers. And turns out that only 3% of the publications are Diamond OA in the Netherlands, not necessarily Diamond journals from the Netherlands in overall, against 81% of hybrid and gold. And we found out that we are spending 15% less than expected for Diamond compared to what we spent for gold and hybrid. So this is a huge gap. It's 1.5 million expected, and 250,000 is what we currently support. So mapping at least the situation in the Netherlands would help also for faculties or institution or funders understand what we can do to support the diamond landscape better. Yes, you can access the list by scanning the QR code up there. It's on Zenodo, and there's also a link with a live spreadsheet that we keep updating regularly. We didn't decide how often, but I think quarterly. But yeah. Thank you.
Stay here, please. Thank you very much. This really looks like a very thorough analysis. Can you please say how long does it take for you to, go through all the journals and do such an analysis?
The manual workflow.
Yeah.
So it was myself and our two interns, Lena and Benedetta, and it took a few weeks in the sense that we are not doing this full time. So that was the reason why we had to manually check. And another addition is that it looks very nice and pretty, but it was not the reality. So it took a lot of trial and error.
Yeah.
So we had, for instance, the publisher commercial with Dutch Society behind. It took a while to understand whether the Dutch Society was really there. And in the list, you can also see the criteria for the DDH. So we also left community-owned and open to all authors columns. And it's hard to understand whether a journal is community-owned if it's from a commercial publisher. So we don't really know whether, we need to check whether a commercial publisher is just a service provider or...
Yeah, well, I went through the very same exercise from DDH.
Yeah, so it took a few weeks, but the whole project started last year and we are just publishing now. I would say a year, but including all the discussions that we had at national level, the meetings with Bianca and all the work that went into deciding what to do before doing it. So that's...
Thank you. Do we have any other questions? Yeah. So we have another microphone. Thank you.
Yes, thank you. This is very impressive. Thank you. I have a question that may or may not be slightly self-interested. No, it's not for Belgium, actually. I mean, I am domiciled in the Netherlands, as you know. And so is my journal, actually, in the sense that my problem is what you call NL-related, right? Because the way I see it, you call NL-related. I mean, it's not on your... I looked at the list. So
yep.
NL-related is publisher, right? I mean, you seem
yes.
to define this as publisher. I'm not saying it's wrong. I mean, there's no right or wrong here, right? I mean,
the first step
but
is
what do you do with the hypothetical? Well, not so hypothetical. I'll explain you afterwards. The hypothetical case where a journal is owned by a Dutch stichting, but actually published by a British publisher.
Yeah, these are the
Diamond publisher. What do you do?
So these are the specific cases that I was talking about before. Mm-hmm. So we have, for instance, a few journals from Utrecht University authors that are managed by some affiliated authors that were not included in the list because they are not based with the publisher in the Netherlands.
So so publisher is determining for you?
Not always.
Yeah.
Yeah, if it's owned and run by a Dutch society, we would be aware of that also. But continue.
I don't think you would be aware, but because, for instance, Glossa, my journal, and Glossa
no. I have an addition to make. We also have other lists that are not OpenAlex or the OAJ Gold OA that might have these journals. Yeah.
Because it's not necessarily publicly known is the problem, right? I mean, for instance, Glossa and Glossa Psycholinguistics are owned by Lingoa, a Dutch stichting, a Dutch-based stichting, but they are published by Open Library of Humanities. So that was my issue.
And I think that also points to the difficulty of establishing that and the lack of information, both in databases and the manual work. So that I think is, in terms of information availability, that's definitely something that could be improved.
Yeah, exactly. That's why a poster of Bianca about cross-ref and lack of metadata, it's useful for us. And yeah, so the aim, what we want to gain from this list is to attract attention of the community, like you just did, to be aware that the journal is affiliated with a Dutch society, so that we can include it not only in the list but in our radar for additional statistics.
Thank you again. I'm afraid we need to move to,
if I may,
to the other
question.
topic. Okay, quick question.
So just a quick question, the same area. These diamond journals, sometimes they're very small, and sometimes they don't even have a legal framework set up as a background to know who owns them. If you ask editors, they may not know who owns them and what do you do in these cases, because if you don't know who owns it, you don't know where it is owned.
I didn't hear the first part of the question.
These journals are sometimes very small and don't have a real legal structure set up in some cases, and then you don't know where it is owned and who owns it. What do you do in these cases?
We kind of decided that we give the benefit of the doubt to be as inclusive as possible and not to miss out from some journals. But yeah. And then we decide what to keep. We also have an internal list with additional journals that are not published because we are unsure and we have to double check, or maybe they're not Dutch related, but for instance, we have some cases from Groningen University Press that are from Groningen Press, but the society is German, for instance. So these are cases that we still need to discuss. Yeah, but we still have it in the radar.
Thank you. Thank you again. I'm sure if you will stay for the lunch break, maybe you will have some more questions because this is really interesting. But now let's leave the Netherlands and let's move into Italy. We will hear about Italian diamond open access landscape analysis from Alessia Bardi, who is a researcher in computer science at the Institute of Information Science and Technology of the Italian National Research Council. She is also my colleague at the Craft-Away Project Consortium and CIAN Air Delegate for Open Air. Thank you for being here, and the floor is yours.
Thank you very much. So the work I'm presenting is a joint effort, of course, with my colleagues from the National Research Council. And our goal was to understand the status of diamond open access in our country, Italy. So let's go. Let's start with the methodology. So our first challenge, as it was very well explained by the colleagues for me, is to understand which are the journals, the diamond journals that are Italian. And we didn't want to stop at the absence of fees as a criteria. So at the time when we started the work, the only source that we could find that could cover 5 out of the 6 diamond criteria of Craft-Away and Yamas was ISAB. So we used that as our baseline. To understand which are the journals in ISAB that were Italian, we intersected this dataset with ISSN ROAD. And so we got a dataset of 168 Italian diamond journals. We took additional information from DOAJ because DOAJ provides information about copyright, support for ORCID, licenses, types of the publishers. So we integrated also that information. And because we wanted also to know not only the numbers and trends of the journals, but also those of the articles that are published in the journals, we used another open access resource, which is the OpenAir Graph. So the OpenAir Graph is this resource where bibliographic information about entities of the research life cycle, like publications, datasets, projects, are linked together. And basically there we can find information about funding, we can find information about links to software, datasets, And most important for these studies is that we can find affiliations and citations and publishing venues. Finally, we wanted to know how are diamond journals considered in Italy for the national research assessment. And for this, we integrated other two sources. One is SciMago, which provides a journal ranking, and the other one is the ANVUR classification. ANVUR is the official national agency for research assessment in Italy. So we got this data set and we analyzed different aspects. And I have to say that we had a fairly good view of what's available in Italy, because we can see that from 2000s, the number of journals grew a lot, from like 10 to 120 in 2024, with a peak in 2018. As for the production, so the articles, we are in line with what was counted in the report from Coalition S. So we have an average of 9% of diamond open access. What we see is that in the Coalition S report, we see, let's say, that the number of articles go down in 2018, I think. Here instead we see that we grow a little bit. Then we have some fluctuation in the recent years, but still, I don't think it's so. So the number of journals grow, but also they are international. So in the maps, you can see the countries of the authors. We excluded the Italian one because otherwise the other countries wouldn't appear, because clearly the majority are Italian, but still we can see lots of authors from all over the world, more or less, especially from our neighbor, France, which is expected because geographical neighborhood also helps collaborations. Technical and legal aspects. So we consider different things. I think the one that I would like to mention is those that you cannot read in the sea, which is the author holds copyright. So the 17% of the journals, the diamond journals, declares that authors do not retain their copyright. Now, I'm not a legal expert, but I would expect that all diamond journals let the authors retain their copyright. So either it's a problem of reporting information to DOAJ, or there is something that needs to be further analyzed. Going to the research assessment, as you can see, more than a half of the journals are ranked in SciMago, and more than a half of the journals are ranked Class A in the ANVUR classification. And that means that diamond journals are very well considered in national research assessment. And this really exceeded our expectation. We thought that was not the case. Of course, there are limitations in this study, because now I'm really curious. I really want to know how these analyses go when we will consider the information from the DDH. Because in the DDH now there are 400 diamond journals for Italy, thanks to our colleagues from the that really put a lot of information there. So what we would like to do is to rerun this experiment, start a real and also technical conversation with the Italian Diamond Capacity Hub that is being built, so to have a better landscape of what is happening in Italy. Thank you.
Thank you, Alessia. I wonder, maybe do you also have plans how to build on this analysis? So what are the next steps? Will you issue some kind of recommendation for the journals or something like that?
What I would like to understand if there is such a big gap in the visibility of the journals that are in DOAJ and those that are not. Because even the analysis of the research production I think it's very important. And for sure, we know that what's available in DoAJ, you can find it in OpenAlex, you can find it in OpenAir, you can find it in many aggregators. But the others that are not there, this is something that I would like to dig into.
Thank you. Do we have other questions?
Thank you. Thank you. Very interesting. Just a clarification question. Did you say that there are more journals in DOAJ, more Diamond Open Access journals in DOAJ than the ones that you found here?
No. No, there are 168 Diamond journals that are taken from EZB, and then we enrich the metadata information, taking information from DOAJ, and I think DOAJ had 120.
I see. Okay. So,
Yeah.
and so that's about the number that you have, 118. It's about the same.
Pardon?
So your number is 118. That is the main. That is the number of
118 are the journals that published at least an article in 2024.
Okay.
So some journals do not exist anymore.
I see. Okay. Okay. Thank you.
Microphone?
So in the DDH, there's more journals than what you detected. Okay, thanks.
Oh, do you want to elaborate on that?
Yes, in the DDH, there are 400 Italian diamond journals. So, updating this analysis with those numbers really can change the results and the interpretation also. So it's very important that we strengthen the collaboration with the Capacity Hub.
Are there other questions? Okay, it doesn't seem so. Thank you again, Alessia. Now we will move even further away. We will hear about knowledge and perceptions of open peer review among Indian researchers from Mohit Garg, who is from Central Library of the Indian Institute of Technology in New Delhi. It's great to have you here. And the floor is yours. Welcome.
Thank you. Namaste. Good morning, everyone. I am Mohit Garg, coming from India and representing IIT Delhi. I am a librarian working on scholarly publishing ecosystem under the lenses of Open Science Framework. In line with this, I am also working with multiple international institutions like PKP for OJS, Open Knowledge Foundation for Open Data Editor, Lyrasis for DSpace, ORCID, and R Consortium. So since the last 2 days, we have already talked much about open access, particularly Diamond Open Access, and have deliberately different issue related with creators of the work, like authors and researchers and the publishers, who is bringing the work to the market. So I am presenting today about one more important and essential component in between this process, that is peer review, which has been working silently in the backend since ages. But now things are changing, or I will say it has already changed, and due to various ongoing advancement in the scholarly publishing. So the study I am presenting today is the result of the financial support received from ORCID Global Participation Fund 2024. I'll be speaking about a few of the things which you might already be aware of, but to connect the importance of this study, speaking on it is becoming important. So we all know how important science is for us to understand the environment where we are living in. The discovery of knowledge is disseminated to the wider audience through scholarly publishing. The scholarly publishing ecosystem allows knowledge to be shared, validated, and expanded in a way that advances collective progress. And we know that since the first publications in the 17th century, scholarly publishing has evolved over time and become an important channel and trusted source of communicating science. But this trust of providing authentic and reliable science is due to multiple components of scholarly publishing ecosystem, among which one is peer review. which is considered as the gold standards that evaluate the quality of the work published. Peer review is an important pre-publishing activity which is followed by most of the researchers around the globe. So, however, over time, many issues have been reported in the peer review system, like biasness, compromising the process, lack of transparency, delays, and inconsistency lead to the growing concern in scholarly publishing. So these limitations highlighted the need for rethinking and reforming traditional peer review to ensure that it continue to uphold the credibility and reliability of scientific communication. So many studies have proposed reforms to strengthen the peer review system, including the measure to emphasize the need to enhance accountability and transparency. In line with these, many such reform efforts have already have been made, like transparent peer review system in which review report and author responses are published alongside an accepted article. So, open peer review is a transparent peer review system that does not mask the identity of authors or reviewers. The submitted paper is made publicly, and review or comments from the scholarly community are encouraged. Therefore, to understand this kind of scenario, we structured this survey among the researchers of different institutions about like how they think about an open peer review. So these participants were from diverse research areas, like from natural sciences, STEMs, arts, humanities, and history and social sciences. So some of the interesting results are like we asked them what you know about open peer review. So much of the response were focused around open peer review report, open identity, direct interaction between researchers and reviewers, public ratings and commentary. Majority of them were agreed to the fact that OPR brings transparency, quality work, and can help in reducing the scientific misconduct. Then we asked that what do you think about challenging in implementation of open peer review? So the first is the very commonly is that we may not get the critical review if the identity were disclosed, like the junior reviewer hesitant, like we have the academic hierarchy between senior people may not to take up the review by the junior reviewers. Then there might be a fear of damaging the professional relationships. And second is, which is very important, is that institutional policy, where the publications are considered for recruitment and other assessment are based on publication in blind peer review, because it is clearly written in many of the agencies and the recruitment that your paper must be published in blind peer review journals. But there is no such policy is there that if your journal is published in open peer review, so there is a fear is that if they publish in open peer review journal, they might not be considered for their assessment of recruitment or incentive things. The third is absence of standardized OPR practice across journal. Like there is already understood framework for either of the single blind or double blind framework is there, but not like some open peer review platforms does not disclose the identity or something like that. So it should be standardized OPR framework should be there. Fourth is the review report along with the identity should be made available with the publication. Fifth challenge is awareness about OPR journal, because we ask them, do you know any of the OPR journal from your discipline or area? So many of them are not aware about those things. So a platform may be developed where a comprehensive details will be provided, and we need to take an advocacy session on this. Then we have added like some more questions like, why do, what do you think about the whole peer review process? And then many of the researchers were like, why we do peer review? Like there is no incentive and recognitions are there, like, we are just working in the back end, nobody is giving up the recognition, and not many platforms are, accept like Publance or even for ORCID is like only for the member organization. Like if you are a member organization of ORCID, then only you can upload your peer review review things in ORCID profile. So that's the thing. So based on this study, we reached to think of initial idea what open peer review should be. So one thing is clear that open review report and the manuscript should be publicly available immediately after the submission. Open identities, and that's where like the most question is like whether the the reviewer identities should be disclosed. So this need to be more discussed, or more brainstorming sessions should be there. Then open commentary and the rating features. Then the important point is that we need to make a standard framework and policy on adoption of open peer review. We need to have like diamond open peer review journals. It should not be like, open peer review is good, it bringing up the transparency and quality, but we move to the commercial or the platform which takes the kind of a money to follow the open peer review. Like we have such platforms are all there. Then we should have we should actively use of PIDs and like platform for recognition. Like we do have the PIDs for our author profiles and also for the reviewers profile, but we must have, and also for the PID like DOI for the articles, but we must have the kind of a PID DOI for the review report also, so that they can add in their either in the ORCID profile or maybe into the regional profiling system. Like in India, we have a profiling system known as IRINS, where we can include our all things. And the last is capacity building. That's very important, that we need to conduct capacity building and the community engagement session across researchers, faculty and librarians to take up the idea of OPR and journals following OPR, because there has been various myths have been circulated among the researchers, like that journals following OPR are predatory, journals following OPR practices are not indexed by Scopus, Web of Science or other bibliographic databases, or they does not have the good metrics. So these are some of the suggestions for bringing up the kind of a platform or kind of a framework for starting up the journals which is following open peer review. Thank you.
Thank you very much for your presentation. I wonder if there are already some kind of plans to, incorporate open peer review into the research assessment from the, from really the top level.
What I say is that, open peer review is far behind. Even we don't have any separate column for open access also. Like we have a column of how many publications you have in Scopus or Web of Science, but we don't have column for how many open access. So I think it will take time. It will take time. So, but this policy is still in the lagging behind.
Okay, thank you. Do we have other questions? You have a question?
I was wondering why the Diamond Discovery Hub, they have this field, peer review, but there's no information. So, and this is kind of a bit weird. And DOIJ also only links to the publisher website. I can see there is a need to track this information, but it would be hard to keep this up to date, because, publishers are typically experimenting and then have some journals included in the open peer review exercise.
Yeah, that's because you have mentioned, I even seen in DOJ platform, some of the journals have been listed under open peer review, but they are not following the open peer review. They are just kind of mark in that. So we need to kind of reform those things also in that thing. Yes.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Now let's dive into the topic of institutional policies and funded actions to promote Diamond open access infrastructures within the framework of open science, which will be presented by Virginia de Pablo, who is a member of Open Science Unit at the Spanish Foundation for Science and Technology, and also a member of DIAMAS Project Consortium.
Hi, hello. Well, hello all. Thank you for being here today with me and with all of us. Well, I'm Virginia de Pablo, and I'm going to make a presentation of a joint work by María Ángeles Coslado, Pilar Rico, and myself. I've been the last one to be involved in this program, so maybe I wouldn't be the best one to tell about this, but I'm trying to explain it, something that is such a simple program as important, you know. Our poster, I must say that this poster has been designed by María Ángeles Coslado, that is here with me today, titled Institutional Policies and Funded Actions to Promote Diamond Open Access Infrastructure within the framework of open science, shows how public policies and funding programs help institutions create stronger infrastructures for open science. This work shows how these initiatives I'm going to develop, use public resources in an effective way, following, and this is very important to take into account, the Spanish National Strategy for Open Science. The funding call, shortly described in this poster. Let me see if I can move it. Yeah. In this poster, looks at how these initiatives are planned and managed, including their structures, timelines, budgets, and the experience of the teams involved in them. The funding call looks at how structures and resources are used, how risks are managed, and how responsibilities and gender balance are considered within the projects. In addition, the program analyzes how these projects match the goals of the National Strategy for Open Science. This is really very important because all the projects must be submitted considering the aspect of this of our National Strategy of Open Science, the impact of for the research community of the different projects. And another very important aspect to be considered is that the evaluators consider how the projects that are submitted open new lines of work, different new and open lines for this work, and how they promote collaboration. This is really very important in the last call, and how they reinforce the role of the institutions in advancing open science in the country. Let's see, why is this funding policy having such an impact in the Spanish scholarly community? Well, we know that in recent years, the science communication field is moving toward a more open and transparent model. But we need money. Those models has to be sustainable. And Diamond open access models are another one, represent a non-commercial alternative, an equitable alternative to commercial models. But we need to have funds and public policies to sustain them. And this call is this. It's a funding program to sustain this kind of infrastructures. The call described here in the poster. There are the figures. I'm not going to talk about the figures. You can see them are quite clear here. I'm going to give you some little aspects about the submission and what we consider for the projects to be considered to receive funding. The call described in the poster studies this national initiative that has been held or is still held by the Spanish Foundation of Science and Technology under the Ministry of Science, Innovation and Universities. That is the one that give us the funding for being coordinated. Through the development of this call, of this funding program, the FECIT supports institutional infrastructures for open science, such as institutional repositories, free systems, publishing services and platforms, and has been held, these 3 lines, through the whole three calls that we have held till this moment. The first call was held in 2020 with an allocation of 1 million euros. The second one was held in 2023 with a bigger allocation of 3 million euros. And at this moment, we are in the third one. That is, the submission process has been closed, but we are in the middle of the evaluation process. And the funding is exactly the same of the 2023, 3 million euros. Through this program, we have learned that we have been able to reinforce institutional infrastructure and national coordination. We have improved governance of the institutions, And we have learned something new that we didn't know at the beginning of the program. I was not in the beginning, but they told me about it. And it has been a kind of surprise that we have lived the creation of collaborative networks. We have seen how the call has generated new communities of practice of open science and open access. So, as I say, these are the numbers, these are the figures. If you want to have more information, you can look at the poster there, or if you need more figures, you can send us an email for us to send it to you. But this is the conclusion, that it's really very important to have this kind of funding programs and policies, national policies, institutional policies, for reinforce and give support to this kind of infrastructures and for open science to be a reality and a long-term solution. Question or comment?
Thank you very much, Virginia. Can you maybe elaborate a bit more how the assessment process went? So how, based on what the projects will...
Yeah, well, the call takes more or less 5 or 6 months. We make an open call to say that it's open, we have received the money from the ministry, and we are going to evaluate the different projects we are receiving. Then we have a short process of submission of the different projects that had been held, as I've said, stocked to the National Strategy of Open Science, of Spanish of Open Science. And then we have, I don't remember maybe how long it takes, the evaluation process. Maria Angeles, 2 or 3 months? 1 or 2 months, the evaluation process, and then we decide which one are going to be funded, and we inform them about the foundation.
Thank you. Do we have other questions? Yes, we do.
Hi. First, thanks for all your work and coming from your country. And these grants are really, really important for us, for the little institutions that are trying to make projects. And the amount of money that you raise it during years, and it means that you have a strong commitment, in my opinion, strong commitment with open science. And I want to congratulate also because the way you move from the initial rules we had with with MAN grants and how they change it in time to be more compliant with open science and so on. So thanks for this. But I have a very simple question. It's about how much of these grants are covered by this. I mean, what is the percentage that they finally get from these grants?
Yeah. You mean how many funding they receive from the government?
Exactly.
The government gives the project 85% of the total amount of the project. The rest has to be funded by themselves, by their own institution. So the institution that used to be universities or research institutions need to have part of the money to be able to fund part of the project they are submitting.
Do we have other questions? Okay, thank you very much, Virginia. Thank you. Let's move from Spain to Switzerland. We will hear about a Swiss single point of access for Diamond Open Access, which will be presented by Elio Pellin, who is a scientific collaborator in the Open Access team at the University Library of Bern, and also a member of Craftaway Project Consortium. Thank you for being here. The floor is yours.
Thank you, Martina. And hello. I'd like to talk to you very briefly about Diamond Open Access CH, DOA-CH. This is a project to set up, as Martina said, the first nationwide support resource for Diamond Open Access. And secondly, DOA-CH is intended to be the Swiss National Capacity Center, NCC, within the European Diamond Capacity Hub. DOA-CH is set up and will be run by the OGS Swiss Community of Practice. This is a long-standing working group of the Swiss IPSPs from the universities of Basel, Bern, Fribourg, Geneva, and Zurich. I try to show. You see them here on the left, and Fribourg is kind of a special case because the platform they are running is also the platform for the universities of Neuchâtel, Lausanne, and the higher education institutions of Luzern and Vaud. So also these universities are not part of the project, but indirectly involved in our new NCC. We are still at a very early stage of the project, which is being funded by Swiss universities. It's been funded from August 25 to July 26, so this is a very short period. The funding is part of the new renewed national open access strategy, which puts a bit more weight on institutional publishing and diamond open access. What we are doing now in this early stage of the project, we define the structure of the website, which will offer easily accessible, low threshold and well-structured information, training materials, tools, and services. We identify content from the participating IPSPs, of course, but also from the European projects and other NCCs. Content that is of interest to our target audience and that can be linked or adapted. Because as you saw also in the last few days, there is a lot of good material around, and we just can't say, here you are, help yourself. That, I'm afraid, won't work. We have to adapt, and we have to motivate the editors to use the tools, to implement new workflows, and we have to rise to improve the acceptance of the tools and workflows we are providing with our projects. And of course, we specify how we can collaborate or exchange information with other diamond publishing stakeholders. You see some of them on the right here on the poster. For example, with CODOA, the Swiss Consortium for Funding Diamond Open Access, a project we will hear about more later this morning by Daniela Hahn. And some of our project partners are also involved in CODOA, so there is a close connection between the two projects. The national capacity centers will be important for us, as well as the EDCH. And in the NCC meeting here in Göttingen yesterday, we already took the first steps to a collaboration between the NCCs. That is very promising for us. We already are in contact with the Swiss diamond publishers outside the IPSPs, and they are associated in Diamond Plus or Diamond Swiss. I don't know how they see themselves. It's diamond and a cross, so you can say Diamond Swiss or Diamond Plus. I think it's both. As you see, DOACH will not only be the single point of access for the editors of the journals hosted by the IPSPs involved in the project, but for all Diamond OA practitioners, as well as for funders, academies, and higher education institutions. A major task of the project is, of course, the sustainability of DOACH and of the Swiss NCC. So we will develop a sustainability plan in the next month, and the goal is obvious. DOACH has to be the single point of access for diamond open publishing for editors in Switzerland, and the connection to the European and the global structures and initiatives for diamond publishing, and far beyond the project phase. Thank you for your attention.
Thank you. Thank you for your presentation, Elio. I have a question because yesterday at the NCC meeting, you briefly mentioned that you already have some kind of a strategy for this single point of access. Now you mentioned that you are planning to organize the website. Can you very briefly explain what are the next steps? Are there any kind of training involved or community building, I assume, something like that?
Yes. The first step is to set up the structure of the website and to identify the content. And of course, we will provide trainings for the institution involved to maintain the website, to maintain the content. And then we will set up a strategy how to involve the editors of the journals, how we can address them, and how we can make our offers attractive to them, and how can we make all the content that is already there be used by them.
Thank you. Do we have other questions for Elio? Okay, doesn't look like. Thank you very much again. Thank you. Okay, now the situation gets a bit complicated because the next poster is supposed. Please do not run it. The next poster was supposed to be presented by Rosaline Zekem-Dine, but unfortunately she's not able to be here. She sent a video. What is a bit problem is that the video is quite long. It's almost 20 minutes. So unfortunately, we do not have time to play it right now. You will be provided the video later, and I will now read the information about the author. And I really recommend you to watch the video afterwards. Rosaline Zekem-Dine is an expert in health research methods, public health and social science with a deep commitment to advancing open science and equitable access to knowledge. She founded the Review and Curate Network to enhance scientific communication in the Global South through the review and curation of preprints. Rosaline is a recognized advocate for open peer review and open science. She serves as a pre-review champion for 2025, and she also contributes her expertise as a member of the eLife Global South Advisory Committee, where she supports efforts to amplify voices from underrepresented regions in global science. So I think really it's a pity that she's not able to be here. You will be provided the video together with all the other materials from the conference. So, well, you will have the time to watch it for yourself, and also you will be provided contacts in case you want to, contact Rosaline and maybe collaborate with her. Now, okay, we are staying in Switzerland. The next topic is creating a Diamond Open Access Consortium for Switzerland, presented by Daniela Hahn, who is a theater scholar and since 2022, she is the manager of the project Platinum Open Access Funding, which is dedicated to promoting sustainable Diamond Open Access in Switzerland. Thank you for being here. The floor is yours.
Thank you very much, Martina. I think this works out perfectly because my colleague Elio just presented the DOA CH project, and the CODOA project complements Elio's or the other project. So my name is Daniela Hahn, and I'm representing the consortium of Swiss academic libraries. The previous project Plateau was mentioned, and this is kind of the foundation for what we're doing now, this new initiative called CODOA, creating a sustainable funding scheme for Diamond Open Access through institutional collaboration in Switzerland. We started in July, and we also only have 13 months to complete this project. The same as the project Elios project. We also have funding from Swiss universities and 11 partner institutions. So in total, 12 institutions are involved in this project. So we really have a broad base, which will hopefully help us to make this project fly. The aim of CODOA is to establish a national diamond open access consortium. And this consortium will then fund diamond open access journals in which scholars at Swiss research institutions publish. So that means our goal is not only to fund Swiss journals, but really journals that are important for researchers who work at Swiss universities. I think this is really important to keep in mind. We are aware of the fact that there are already consortial funding models out there. So we're really not trying to reinvent something new, but really speak to our colleagues and learn from their experiences. So why is such an initiative needed? Elio already mentioned that in Switzerland we have a revised national open access strategy of 2024. And this strategy really set a clear goal to create a robust model to scale up diamond open access in Switzerland. And CODOA is contribution to that, to the implementation of that policy goal. Secondly, in Plato, in the previous project, we did a study, and there we found out that a majority of Swiss journals also have a problem with sustainable funding. And I think that is the same case for other countries as well. So, and we really want to tackle this funding challenge. We will do that in 4 dedicated work packages. You can see part of it here. I try to move that up a little bit. So we have 4 work packages. The first one is the governance of the future consortium. So we seek to develop and design a transparent structure for the future consortium to really ensure this is efficiently run, but that there are also clear and transparent decision-making processes. At the same time, we also have a work package on evaluation and quality criteria, because we believe that not only the governance of the consortium has to be transparent, but also the funding decisions. Then there will also be a work package dedicated to financial flows, because you really have to work out how to allocate and pool resources and then to redistribute these funds to journals. And of course, the 4th work package is a really important one as well, communication. And this work package is dedicated to creating strategies to engage the community, do community building, as was mentioned oftentimes during the last days, raising awareness, but also conduct targeted outreach, particularly to researchers. So community involvement, as you can maybe fathom, is really the core of our initiative. We are implementing an inclusive stakeholder engagement process. So as I mentioned, we have 12 partner institutions, but at the same time, there are many more institutions in Switzerland who are supportive of our initiative, which really hopefully gives us a strong basis. But at the same time, we're also establishing thematic working groups with internal but also external stakeholders of the project. We will have a sounding board. I'm currently working on establishing that. That will also have national and international stakeholders, but also, most importantly, researchers are going to be involved in the project. Researchers in their role as editors, but also researchers as authors. So the CODOA project is not just, a project that wants to build a consortial funding model. It's about building a funding model together, collaboratively, in the most inclusive and transparent manner as possible, because we think that transparency and inclusivity is important to then get support further on long-term for the journals. And we really hope that this consortium will be a reality next year, that we can start funding a journal next year to really make Diamond Open Access a truly sustainable alternative for authors in Switzerland. Thank you very much.
Thank you for this inspiring project presentation. I know that everything is still, in the making, and I would guess that you probably are looking around to the other consortium funding projects, what is quite unusual for me is that you are willing to also finance journals outside Switzerland. Can maybe you elaborate a bit on this? Are there already any ideas how this might be organized?
Well, we have to find or strike a balance there, because on the one hand, we have the journals who make up the landscape or the Swiss ecosystem. We had a discussion this morning. What does it mean to be a Swiss journal? We know that most journals, you can't really pin them down to one country. So this is one aspect of it. But the other aspect is that the institutions tasked us with funding journals, or they see the need to fund journals that are important for their researchers. So, and we really have to find a balance between these two perspectives, giving money or scaling up the local, the regional landscape, but at the same time also providing support for journals that are important for the researchers who might not be in Switzerland or have no affiliation to Switzerland. So
a big challenge.
Yeah, it's a challenge, yeah.
Do we have any other questions? Yeah. I think you can start. And
okay. Yeah, I mean, this relates to a question I had this morning for our Dutch colleagues. Namely, where is the journal located? Because many journals are international and have international editorial teams and boards, like my journal, for instance. But they're located somewhere in the sense of ownership, and then they can be located somewhere else in terms of the service provider that helped them. So that is something that you will need to figure out in what you mean by what is a Swiss journal, because it's really not an easy question to answer. I mean, my journal, for instance, it's a global journal in linguistics, right? But it's serviced by the Open Library of Humanities in London, by Birkbeck College, and the ownership, the legal ownership, is by a Dutch stichting, a Dutch non-for-profit foundation. Is it Dutch? Is it British? Is it global? I mean, so, these are aspects that you might want to take into consideration, because, I mean, I think that makes it for a very interesting mix that we can explore together.
Exactly. And, we really want to be transparent about the eligibility of journals. We don't want to pin it down to Swiss journals. Obviously, we want to fund journals who are rooted at research institution in Switzerland, but we don't want to exclude journals who are important for Swiss researchers. And as you say, it's really hard to determine, what is a Swiss, a Dutch, a French journal, because when you go through all the websites, which I have done for the list of journals that we compiled, it's not that easy. But of course, we are looking for expertise from outside, from, you and other collaborators at the European Capacity Hub, for example, to really also get your feedback on what is the best way, to strike this balance right. Mm-hmm.
You had a question? No? We have a question down there.
Thank you, Daniela. Do you already know what do you actually want to fund? I mean, in terms of which services you would like to support, not in terms of journals, but when journals need money, for what they can use the money?
I know there are different models. Some models really, keep that open and up to the journal, that they provide funding for, you can use the funding for anything you want. Then there are other models who really restrict the use of the money for operations only. We have that question in mind. We just don't know yet where it's going to fall, because obviously right now I'm working on having an overview of the different models and then presenting that to the project board and the working group, of course, and then to work through all these questions. Obviously, we started 2 months ago, but this is really an important question. Also, how much is there going to be a maximum or a minimum of funding? There's so many questions related to that.
Other questions? No other questions. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
So we have a very brief travel around the world, and we are ending back here in Germany. We will hear about the DOA Innovation Lab from Sabine de Günther, who is an art historian with an interdisciplinary background and strong interest in digital art history. She recently joined the ZDOA project at the University of Applied Sciences in Potsdam, and also, Katja Wember will be represented. She holds a doctorate in linguistics, conversation analysis, and communication studies. She currently contributes to the ZDOA project at Braunschweig University Library and works in the open access unit at the university. Very great to have you here. The floor is yours.
Thank you. Also, thank you for coming for the last session of the day and the conference. So the two of us represent the Service Center for Diamond Open Access, ZDOA. As we've already heard in the other room by Dirk Pieper, we were only established in May this year, so we're still in the making. We're a group of 15 institutions joined by the Association of University Presses in Germany. And to improve the efficiency of Diamond OA publishing, we collaborate, of course, within the consortium and also connect to, on an international level, building upon initiatives such as Operas and Craft OA. To build a registry and establish a common understanding, we have issued a definition of what we consider to be Diamond Open Access. This is still a work in progress. You can find it on the preliminary website, and we've also written it down here. It will be accompanied by a glossar, so this is still in the making. Today, however, we would like to present 2 of the 6 work packages. The first is networking services, presented by my esteemed colleague Katja, and the second is the Innovation Hub.
So ZDOA works closely with national and international stakeholders to make Diamond Open Access publishing in Germany more efficient. Of course, it builds on the experience and outcomes of successful projects such as Pauliner and, of course, the Craft OA initiative. And ZDOA is involved with and supports ongoing and past projects and Diamond Open Access advocates such as Coalition S, Coara, Diamas, or Operas and the Operas Innovation Lab, which will be important for Sabine, I think. And so work package 4 is about the networking services. And this work package bundles the results from the different ZDOA areas, like the Innovation Lab, which will Sabine present in a minute, the registry, which was presented by Dirk some minutes ago, and the publication services. And we will communicate them to the European Diamond Capacity Hub, the EDCH. So geographically speaking, ZDOA's networking services acts as a bridge. It is the Diamond Capacity Center in Germany, and it reaches out to the European EDCH and the Global Diamond Open Access Alliance. We encourage collaboration within the scholarly community at both the national and international levels. And we want to make sure that data processes and standards can be used across national borders. This I hand over to Sabine again.
So the ZEDOA Innovation Lab, the short form is ZEAL or ZEAL, has a number of tasks. Within the ZEDOA context, we provide space for innovation, and we seek to establish the ZEAL as a national hub and a point of contact for future-orientated developments in the field of Diamond OA in Germany. And we see ourselves as a think tank, an observatory, and a resonance space, not unlike the Opera's innovation hub, but on a national level and across all disciplines. ZEAL is being implemented by the University of Applied Sciences Potsdam, the Medical Library of the Charité in Berlin, and the FIZ Karlsruhe, which is a Leibniz Institute for Information Infrastructure. We reach out to stakeholders involved in Diamond OA, and we document publication practices. We track innovations, which is a vast field, at both national and international levels. So we talk a lot to stakeholders, to journal makers, to other stakeholders in order to improve a participatory open access research infrastructure. And having expressed our outreach and observational role, we have prepared a short survey, and that is aimed at researchers and academics, because we understood also from the Open Access Conference in Constance that researchers are kind of underrepresented in conferences such as this or in Constance. So this is particularly aimed at researchers and academics in order to find out what their needs are, why they publish in Diamond or why they don't publish in Diamond. The survey is available via QR code here, on the poster, on Zenodo, on ZEDOA's Mastodon post, also on my mobile phone if you can't reach it. With this survey, we invite you to share your needs regarding Diamond Open Access Publishing. And we really want to understand what hinders you from publishing Diamond OA and what the most pressing needs are, apart from funding. This is Germany, not Switzerland. And we will take steps in this direction. Thank you.
Thank you very much for the presentation. This is really interesting. I wonder, do you also plan to have some kind of micro grants or something like that so that the researchers can join together and work on something together?
Unfortunately, ZEDOA is not a funding institution. We're a platform, a distribution platform, and we gather the needs and we sort of bring the needs and the competences together through the communities, but we don't have funds as for publishing. Mm-hmm. Of course, we can act as collaborators for research proposals at funding institutions.
Mm-hmm. Okay, thank you. Do we have other questions? Mm-hmm.
Just a labeling question. You call it lab, but to me it sounds like an observatory. What's the lab aspect? The hands-on part. I mean, what are you experimenting with, or?
We're still in the process of sort of observing. And then we will select a number of use cases, which we will then work with. Like, we have a couple of ideas already, because there are a lot of issues, either in the editorial process or in other aspects. And then we will sort of work on this use case, find solutions with the community and within the ZEDOA consortium, and then try to scale it so to make it reusable. That's the plan.
Are there other questions for this innovation lab? Doesn't seem so. Thank you very much again. Thank you. So this is how we came to the end of our session. For me personally, it was really very much inspiring. We had a lot of inspiration and we saw that a lot is happening in the Diamond Open Access Publishing field. What is great about it is that this community of practice is really willing to share. So you have extremely interesting projects and you do not have it, in your pocket or in your laptops. You bring it here and you share with others. And that allows people like me to inspire and to learn from you, which is something really invaluable. And thank you for that. Thank you very much.